Hello and welcome to Total Truth Show, episode 53. Today we're going to chat about the truth about the art of self-therapy. I'm Aldwyn Altuney from the Gold Coast in Australia.
And my name is Ken Kleinberg, and I'm actually coming to you all the way from the USA, San Diego County, California, to be exact.
And I'm Karen DeLoach from sunny South Carolina, the opposite East Coast, kind of halfway between these two hosts.
And we'll be right back after this short introduction.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Total Truth Show, hosted by myself, Ken Kleinberg from San Diego County, California.
And I'm Aldwyn Altuney, known as the Media Queen from the Gold Coast in Australia.
And our goal here on this show is to help you to break away from the mainstream media propaganda and lies, the disinformation and misinformation that's out there in the mainstream, and really help you to start questioning everything and start doing the research for yourself. We want to punch through all of that disinformation and misinformation. Our goal here is to raise global consciousness to quantum critical mass and then pave the way for a new awakened civilization. And we would love for you to come along for the ride. Don't take our word for it. The things that we share here on the show, that goes for our guests too. Start doing the research for yourself. Start going and asking the questions for yourself. Get out there and really find the real truth behind things. So with that, let's get started, you guys. Let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome.
Yes, welcome. Very excited today. We have my amazing co-host, Mr. Ken Kleinberg, of course, and Karen DeLoach. A little bit about Karen, and it is actually, before we go into this, it is my 50th birthday in America right now, 16th of January. 17th of January now in Australia, and I'm going to have a great party tonight, and had a great get-together yesterday. So it is a milestone, it is a turning point, and perhaps today's topic will be a turning point for you, because the whole idea here is we want to unleash your creativity, stir up your creativity. That's what Karen's all about. She is an artist, she's an art mentor, author, actor, and creativity specialist. She teaches art history and appreciation in college using textbooks that she has written. Along with her husband, Jer, short for Jerry, she hosts a home-based worship group called Imagine Gathering. So great to have you here. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here. I thank you.
That's wonderful. And I love art, I must say. I think it would be great if everybody unleashed their creativity. Mm-hmm. However, for some reason, some people think, I'm just not creative, or I just can't do it, or whatever. So how did it all start for you? Were you always creative as a child, and did it develop, or was it something that you took on later in life?
You know, it's funny you asked that, because I think that's one of the keys. You know, as you mentioned, everybody is creative. You know, we're created in the image of our creator, and we have half of our brain that scientists tell us is devoted to creative thinking and to creative out of the box way of thinking. And unfortunately, here in the West, we have a climate of and an education system that honors left brain thinking, which is critical thinking. It's memorization. It's much more quantifiable. It's easier to test and to score and to employ, quite frankly. And unfortunately, that beautiful, brilliant right brain creativity gets squashed, trivialized, and a lot of times ignored. It's very sensitive. So yes, as a child, to answer your question, I was always a creative. Matter of fact, I was the kid that colored outside the lines, including on the walls.
Love it.
Excuse me. I didn't know I was going to need water so quickly, but.
That's okay. Well, for kids, we know they love to get the textures out usually, and color everything, and we've had kids color walls and color, there's no boundaries when it comes to kids getting creative, yet for some reason it tends to get suppressed often as people get older. Ken, were you a creative kid?
I would definitely say, yeah, I was definitely creative. I was always getting into mischief. I was always like
Sorry.
just doing all kinds of different experiments, things. I'd love to play with fire. I mean, yeah, no, I just I would create I would create ways to get into things. I mean, I remember my parents, they would always hide cookies from me and stuff like that, so I couldn't get into them. Well, I figured out a way to sneak into the kitchen late at night, when everybody was sleeping, and kind of sneak through the cupboards and find the cookies and different things like that. I've always been like that. And as far as out of the box thinking, I am still the guy that if you tell me I can only enter in through this particular door and I cannot enter in through the exit door, I am the guy that will go through the exit door. Kind of bringing it back to like summer of 2020 when all the scamdemic stuff was going on. I remember some of our grocery stores actually put arrows on the aisleway saying that you can only go one way this way or one way that way. And I remember, especially once I took my red pill around what was really going on and the fact that there was really no threat, I purposely went down the aisles the wrong way because I'm like, hell no, you're not going to tell me that I can't go down this aisle this way. That's ridiculous. So, yeah, I'm that person.
God, that's a natural born rebel, and a lot of entrepreneurs have this rebel. Tell us not to do it, and we'll definitely go and do it. So it may be good to use some reverse psychology if you want the rebels to do something. Just tell them what you don't want them to do, and then they'll probably do the opposite. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
So I'm sorry for this little cough attack. Excuse me.
It's okay. It happens. Obviously, there's something needs to come out there, Karen, right?
Yes, that's what I'm
But
saying.
as a child, when I was coloring on the walls and I got in so much trouble, the truth is I ended up being a muralist and people pay me to paint their walls. Isn't that ironic?
Wow, I love
But
that.
my mom didn't know that when she was mad at me for painting on her walls. And that was just one example of what. And that's true for all of us. If we look at our childhood, if we really examine the things that we love to do before 5. Did we like to run and jump at the playground? Did we like to sing? Did we like to color? Did we like to paint? Did we like to sing? Did we like to bang drums everywhere? Well, those are all really good indicators of, even as an adult, even turning 50 years old. Congratulations. Happy birthday to you today.
Thank you so
That you can examine and say, those early hints were things that I can look at now at this point in my life, that could I have a more fulfilling time now if I really looked at the things that I loved and I loved doing when I was very young. And I think that our personal fulfillment and that use of that right brain I've been talking about is keyed into those early years. Because if you ask, 5-year-olds, if you like to do these things, if you like to run and jump and play and bang on drums and maybe color and write and crayon, they all say yes. But you ask a room of 15-year-olds that same question, they say no. Maybe 10% will say yes. So what happens in those 10 years? And I hinted at it with the school systems that are really focusing on left brain activities and thinking and creativity is kind of ignored. And that right brain brilliance is wasted. It's half of our brain. And you guys are much younger, but for me and my generation, people are very concerned about brain fog, with what we've been through these last few years. People are suffering mentally, a lot of them. And I think that this is a key to refreshing memory, because it's not one or the other. We want both sides of our brains operating and creating these beautiful connections and building these dendrites of creativity that help us think better, even with our left brain. It's not either or. It's bringing that right brain up to our left brain thinking. And it's a sensitive side. It's our intuitive side. It's the part of us that has the imagination and sees things that aren't around us. It imagines, it creates. It's very innovative, and that's where inventions come from. Matter of fact, Albert Einstein, one of the, leading intellects of our former generation, said, creativity is brilliance having fun. It's your mind having fun. So
Mm.
as we look at our creative brains, we tend to think, oh, that's just for the artists or those that identify as musicians or actors. It's not for everybody, but I have found that to be the exact opposite. Creativity is our heritage. All of us have some way to be creative. You guys, podcasters, it's highly creative. You're editing, you're thinking about it, you're working on the sound and the visuals, and you're doing all of these highly creative things, and yet you're also on a schedule, you're looking at time. So you're using both sides of your brain very perfectly and connecting beautiful connections, which enables you to think better in other ways. Can I give you
Mm.
an example? Really, it's very simple. It's not hard to do what I'm talking about. Singing in the shower. So how
Mm.
many people say, I can't sing, but they love to sing in the shower? Because maybe when they were a child, they loved to sing, but they were told you can't sing, like I was. Turn the radio up if you start singing. They don't want to hear your voice. It really, feels really terrible. I can't sing. But there you are in the shower, rub-a-dub-dub, singing away, having a blast. And, you get out, you're drying off, and all of a sudden, a thought comes. Maybe it's a solution to a problem you hadn't really even thought of before, a different way of approaching something, and you didn't make the connection that while you were having fun singing, washing off in the shower, you're actually utilizing your right brain, and you're creating these beautiful mental connections, these neural pathways. And it was answering questions that you've had without you even realizing it. And that's part of that brilliance, letting that left brain take a break and exploring ways to stir up and develop your right brain.
Mm, I love that. And I love singing in the shower, I must say. And I sing in the car, I sing just about everywhere. And I have had people say that they don't like my singing. And then I've had others say that they do like my singing. And at the end of the day, I don't care what they think, because if I enjoy it, I'm going to do it. And that's the thing, is too many people worry about what other people think, and they go, oh, you're tone deaf. I mean, like, you've got a beautiful voice, you use it. Your voice is a instrument. Right? We are so incredibly powerful, and it doesn't matter whether you're fat, skinny, tall, short. I've heard amazing singers that are all shapes and sizes, and it's interesting how people will justify and make excuses for why they're not good at something, why they're not good at art, why they're not good at singing, why they're not good at whatever. And a lot of people tend to put themselves down. And it's time, I believe, 2024, I've just turned 50, a new level of empowerment for women as well apparently happens when a woman turns 50. I have heard many women say that when you get to 50, it's like, you don't care, you really don't care now what anyone thinks, right? You might have cared a little bit before, but now there's nothing coming in the way, right? And I think the divine feminine in general is rising across the world. And this divine feminine and masculine, having that balance as well, the right and left brain, the structure and the creativity and the flow. It is quite an art form to have a balanced life. And I don't know that we're ever going to be completely balanced. However, if you look at the yin yang of life, there's always going to be dark forces, there's always going to be light forces. And what are you going to choose to focus on? And one of the first things that I did this year is I put together a group of friends and invited some people along to an intentions lunch. And we actually came together at Bumble's Cafe in Service Paradise, and we set our intentions for the year. And one of the questions we asked everybody around the table is, what are 3 things you want to do or do more of this year that bring you joy? What are 3 things that you do or want to do more of this year that bring you joy? And for those watching us right now, whether you're joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, now X, Instagram, let us know, what are 3 things you want to do or do more of this year that bring you joy? And one of the things I said was play the ukulele. I love playing ukulele. And I've been to Hawaii a few times. Every time I've been there, I love the culture of the ukulele in Hawaii particularly. And I think because Izzy was such a star, is Israel, who amazing ukulele, a big guy who unfortunately did pass away. However, his song Somewhere Over the Rainbow is absolute classic, and so many others, the way he played the ukulele. and it brought joy. And every time I play the ukulele, it brings me joy. And I'm not that great at it, but I have fun playing. And that's the thing, is to enjoy the journey, because no one's born brilliant at anything. We learn as we go. It's like with skills, there's a skills we're practicing. We weren't born, Ken and I weren't born here amazing presenters. We have built confidence over time to be hosts and then co-hosts, working with a team, etc. There's a whole art form around all of it. And I still stuff up. Sometimes I say ums and ahs. I mean, in Toastmasters they count your ums and ahs when you're speaking, and all that. And I still say ums and ahs. I did Toastmasters for 3 years, and that's the thing, is we're human beings. We're going to stuff up sometimes. We're going to cough in the middle of a show sometimes. It happens, right? If it needs to come out, let it come out, right? If you need to cry, cry. If you need to, express yourself. I think this is one of the beautiful gifts of being a human being. We all have different ways of expressing ourselves. We all have different ways of doing art, whatever that is for us. It could be music, it could be writing, it could be acting, it could be whatever. And I must say, I've been a very artistic person my whole life. And my brother, on the other hand, he was a very scientific one, right? He was like, my dad was an engineer. My brother became an optometrist. He was great at chemistry and physics like my dad was. And I struggled with chemistry and physics growing up. Yet I was really good at English. I was really good at arts, music, all that kind of thing. I got good marks. So I guess that means I was good at it, right? Generally, I got good marks in those things. And whereas chemistry and physics, I hated. And so I didn't get good marks. And there's actually been studies shown about, when you do something and you have a long-term goal with something, you're going to be better at it than if you don't. There's been studies done in schools with kids playing piano, and if the kids playing piano, there's 3 different groups. This study was done with 3 different groups of kids, and the group of kids that thought about playing piano until the rest of their course, until the rest of the year, they weren't as good at piano as those that had a longer term view, as those that thought about that they're going to play for maybe 1 to 5 years, and then that those that thought they were going to be fantastic pianists in the future, they really dedicated a lot of time, etc., to it. So also, what is your intention with what you're doing? I think that's really important to consider when you take on any new hobby or any new new creative endeavor. Are you going to do it once a year, or are you going to actually get yourself in a community where maybe you do it once a month? Or, there's a local ukulele group now that I've reached out to on the Gold Coast. Every Friday morning in Currumbin, they get together and they play ukulele. And I'm sure that some of them are going to be more proficient at ukulele than I am. However, I can still go along and do a little twang and have a little sing along and have some fun. It doesn't matter, right? So I think this is the thing, is just allow yourself to enjoy the journey of whatever creative endeavor you choose to take on.
Well, Aldwyn, you brought up some really wonderful points, and one of them you just ended with also is the joy of the journey. Well, I've started studying the science behind the art, and I found things that I operated in and saw people working in a long, long time. That's why I call it art as self-therapy, because I've seen the miraculous power of art to heal. When you talk about joy, what happens when you do or participate or even look at art? You release serotonin, the happiness chemical in your brain, I guess it's a hormone. I'm not exactly sure, but it's released into your whole body. So they say 15 to 20 minutes. I read a couple of studies, so I just average it 18 minutes a day, being purposefully observant of what's going on around you. It's not complicated. For instance, taking just a stroll, not a Fitbit watch timed, counted step kind of aerobic outing, but just a stroll where you're going to observe the sky. You're going to look at the trees. You're going to smell the whatever's blooming, perhaps. You're going to hear the crunch of leaves under your feet, or birds chirping, or children playing. And in those moments, you're actually engaging, just like you are when you're singing in the shower. You're engaging that right brain, making those observations, connecting with your left brain as your body is coordinating and moving along. It's it's a beautiful way to relax your brain and let that creativity flow. A lot of people will do that and bring a sketchbook, or they'll bring a notebook for taking notes, or just to doodle, or even coloring books. There's all kinds of ways to express, as you said, our humanity. And there's a lot of people that I know, especially my age, that have been afraid of AI, for instance. And guess what AI is? Right? It's left brain. It's logic and critical thinking, and it's brilliant. And I use Chat GPT when I need to write some stuff too. But it's not left brain, creative, intuitive, connective. It'll never replace our human right brain brilliance. And so obviously it pays to develop that part of our brain every way that we can. They did a study a few years ago of smokers that would take those 15-minute breaks, go outside to smoke, and they were actually seeing health benefits, and they weren't understanding, how are these smokers getting health benefits? Because they were resting their brain, just having a puff or two, and noticing the weather, having a chat with whoever else is out there, and they're actually doing what I'm talking about, even as they were trying to smoke. So in spite of whatever detriment of smoking brought, they were getting actual brain help at that moment. Another thing you mentioned is not necessarily being great at something and yet enjoying doing it anyway, or maybe allowing that, because you aren't brilliant at it, letting it stop you from doing it again. I call it the paralysis of perfectionism. And it is an enemy of our right brain, because this very sensitive part of us cannot be told, you're not good enough, you can't do it. And how many of us have been told that, whether it was singing or drawing. Now, I got very good at drawing when I was young, and I went to school for theater and art, and I decided to major in painting. But I tell you what, they did not like my paintings, those professors. They used 4-letter words to describe my artwork. Now, it was the age of abstract expressionism, and I loved pop art and naturalism. And they just didn't feel like I needed to be in school. I just needed to sit in street corners and do portraits and paint scenery, if that's what I loved. And so I came into agreement, unfortunately, with their words. And I was not able to finish a painting for 20 years. Now I switched to sculpture, and I did ceramics, which I love. I still love to work with my hands. But I would try. I'd start a painting, and I'd get to that hump place where you just got to push through, and I couldn't do it. And I realized years later, I'm looking at these stack of unfinished paintings going, what is wrong with me? And inside that I call it left brain bully critic saying, you're not good enough. You're just not good enough. And I was having babies, and they were so cute. I wanted to paint their portraits. And I got some healing, and I got a mentor. I got somebody that took me by the hand. He had been to school in the art at the Chicago Art Institute, where they taught fundamentals. They taught people how to do art well. And he taught me how to paint. And I needed those skills to pull off the type of art that I wanted to do. And it gave me not only confidence and the ability to finish my paintings, but it made me a much better art teacher, because I teach my students those kind of fundamentals. Even my students that aren't going to ever take art again in their lives, if they're taking art from me, they're going to do it. How else are you going to appreciate it if they don't try it? I don't judge on talent, which talent only takes you so far. It really is the hard work that you do that makes it happen. And I know, Ken, as you talk and you minister to people about perseverance and working hard and being consistent with what you're doing, those are all really incredible right brain skills that you're combining with your left brain talents to enable people to change their life, physically and emotionally. And I've seen it happen in the arts, and that's what gets me very excited. It really does.
I love
So
that.
I got a couple stories. just to prove that point. And this is what sent me on a journey to discover the science, because I had a young student who had ADHD and dyslexia, and he didn't do well in his academics. His mother was homeschooling him. We homeschooled for 22 years, and we did co-ops, and I was the art teacher in the community. And he became very good in a short amount of time. He was brilliant at doing art. He could sculpt, he could do batik, and I started entering his work in local youth competitions, and boy, did he start winning. And that kind of confidence changed his life, and he was able to get his academics done in a new way. So I could see how art was helping him in that way. Then, unfortunately, as a young 18-year-old, he got a traumatic brain injury, and he was paralyzed on the right side, and wasn't even expected to live, but he did. And his mom, worked with him. They worked with him in the hospital until they allowed him to go home. Now, he still wasn't talking. You're talking about self-expression. He couldn't talk, couldn't use his right hand, couldn't use his right leg. She got him to my studio, and I endeavored to teach him to draw with his left hand. And in a very short amount of time, he did. So he started drawing, he started writing left-handed. And I got a call from his neurosurgeon. I've never called anybody's art teacher before, he said. And he said, "What are you doing with David? Because he is getting so much better on his right side. And he's stronger with his weak hand than I am, and I'm a surgeon. What are you doing?" And I just said, I just told him what we were doing. And he said, "Don't stop, because it's making a difference in his life." And again, art was a key to breaking through to his own limitations. And the brain starts building new pathways, and he already had a lot of pathways because he had been developing them as a young art student. And now he was developing them. He can talk now. He can walk now. His right hand is still weak. He still uses his left hand to write and draw for the most part. But he's a miracle. He's walk and talk a miracle. And, his mom just cries when she sees me. It's like, this is a miracle to me. The power of the creative part of our brain has so many ways that it works in our lives. So I say, Aldwyn, at your 50th birthday, play that ukulele and sing Over the Rainbow, girl. You enjoy it. Love
Yeah.
it. Let others enjoy
Love
it or
it.
not. It really is truly science and art melded together. And Steve Jobs said, Apple is not a company that operates only in technology. He said it is a marriage between technology and the humanities. It is the art. And, people don't even throw away their Apple packaging. It's always so cleverly done and beautifully packaged. He had a sense of what people would love and be willing to pay for. It's top end product, and we pay for it, and it looks good when it gets to you. It's psychologically pleasing to us. And we know in our own hearts and spirits when something is done well. When I
Mm.
teach my kind of rural students in the college I teach in, I know these students, I got one shot at them, to really open their eyes and the world of art to them. Not just some brilliant masters of Western art, which there are plenty of. I tell their art stories, the artist stories. I also include a whole chapter of local artists, people that whose images they can relate to, or whose color skin or ethnicity they can relate to. And they can say, wow, this is an artist that speaks to me. And they can find a love for art, because art can, even if we don't end up an artist, man, we could be a patron of the arts. We should have something on our walls that brings us joy and pleasure. And that's part of it, is changing their life to say, my walls aren't going to be empty. We're going to put something up that brings us joy. And it's so uniquely personal. Ken, what you love may not be what Aldwyn loves or what I love, but you know what? They all it matters. What you have is bringing you joy and bringing you the serotonin release as you look at it even.
I love that. And in fact, some things that bring me joy, I just want to share with you. One is giving people the clap. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was fantastic. So I just gave you the clap there, Karen, for that one. And I've also got a fantastic little yes button here. And I love pressing this.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It has all these different yeses, and it's really, really cool. And
I love that yes button. You haven't
I
brought
do.
that out for a long time.
No, actually, I haven't, but I've got everything sitting here. No, I haven't brought it out for a long time. No, I haven't brought it out for a long time. But now we are going to do this, right? Yes. Okay, there we go. And I also have this one. It's a naughty button. Oh, the battery's gone on that, but it says your naughty thing. I actually recorded my voice on that one. Your naughty thing. So whenever I press that, your naughty thing, like an Indian person, although I'm not Indian. Simple things like this can bring a lot of joy. Like it's bringing out that creativity, the childhood, the child within. I have little Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. I got this in America, actually, in LA. I have things like this is my little studio setup. I have a little rainbow love heart. It's actually an eye mask. It's actually an eye mask, but it's little things like this. I've got my little emojis, little smiley emoji, and it's just fun stuff. What is it that brings you joy? I've got my Wonder Women around me to remind me that I'm a Wonder Woman, that we all have Wonder Woman inside us and Superman inside us, or some version of that, right? And I think really it comes down to we're either operating from one of two places. We're either coming from love or we're coming from fear. Now, the three biggest fears that people have is that I'm not loved, I don't belong, and I'm not good enough, right? And when we're talking about creativity and getting artistic, we need to look at what are some ways that you can get creative, I believe, and use all of your senses, because a lot of people don't sort of think about this or feel this, or, our senses being sight, taste, touch, hearing, and smell. And we know the stats are 1 in 3 people have depression. One of the best ways to come out of depression is to get creative. And that could be as simple as cooking something for yourself, or making a lovely salad or a fruit bowl, or get creative in some way. It could be the simplest things. I have texters around me. I have all sorts of creative stuff around me. I love it. I love all my little bits and pieces. I'm definitely not a minimalist, right? I like all my stuff. However, in saying that, I think there's a balance between minimal and maximal. It brings me joy to have my stuff around me. If I lived in somewhere that looked like a hospital with blank walls, with white walls, I would feel like I need to be put in a straitjacket. Like, for me personally, I would not like that. Right? That would be very restricting for me. Whereas some people love that minimalist thing where they have nothing on the walls. I've got just about every bit of wall is covered with some kind of artwork or something artistic, or a sculpture, or, I've got candles and crystals and all that. And it brings me joy. And I know nothing lasts forever as well. However, these are little things that I like to have around me. And of course, if you're not using it, you will lose it in any aspect of life. There was actually a great interview I did with a dear girlfriend of mine called Tracy Corman, and we talked about how to overcome abuse and depression. And another little tidbit we gave, other than being creative, is actually getting into gratitude, right? What is it that brings you joy that you can be conscious of? Yes, when I do that thing, I have fun. There's something called laughter yoga out there, right? You can actually go to a group. You can go onto Meetup, find your nearest laughter yoga group, and go to a laughter yoga session. It is hilarious. And what people do is they just start laughing, and then they laugh at the laugh, and then they laugh at the laugh at the laugh at the laugh. Everyone's laughing at each other's laughs because it's so outrageous. And you just end up with a room full of people just pissing themselves laughing. It's hilarious. Something simple you can do is also put on a comedy. Put something on YouTube of something you like. One of the comedies that you like, a little funny little skit, like the Stop It skit, that little Stop It skit, 5-minute Stop It skit. If you haven't seen it, hilarious. Stop It. I have seen it so many times. Every time I see it, we say piss ourselves laughing here in Australia. I don't know if piss yourself can also be going to the bathroom, but we say we piss ourselves laughing. Some people call beer piss as well here in Australia, which confuses the Americans no end. However, this is it's something to be conscious of, right? What is it that brings you joy? Let us know in the chat. We've got Bradley here on Facebook. Happy birthday. Thank you, Bradley. Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much. It was just gone 12 noon here on the 17th of January. So in America, my birthday is actually my birthday right now, 16th of January. And 17th of January, we're going into it. I am having a little get-together party tonight with a few invited guests. So I look forward to seeing everyone who's turning up there tonight. And if you haven't got an invite and you think you should, then just send me a PM and I'll check you out and see whether we'll invite you. It's pretty tight space. But anyway, that's a bit of a side note. What is it that brings you joy? Ken, I want to hear from you. What are some things that bring you joy? Because I know you have a guitar behind you there somewhere. I've seen your guitar. Ken, let us know what gives you joy.
Yeah, actually, my guitar sits out in the living room. Yeah, so guitar playing, singing, creating music. I actually record my own stuff. I've written quite a few lyrics, and a lot of them, I probably have like 30 or 40 things that I've written that don't have music to them yet. So, I've been kind of like pulling stuff out of, my archives and now putting music to a lot of that stuff. But, another thing that I have really just recently, especially recently, found just such a love for is creating my content. And, it just, I don't know what it is about it, but I have found just such a creative love for that. Interesting enough, interesting little story behind that. It was a while back, like I had a mentor of mine that I was working with, and he just kept trying to tweak my stuff and have me tweak my stuff in different angles and different ways, hooks and all this other stuff to attract my ideal audience and clients and stuff like that. While I really get that and I totally understand, and I learned a lot from this particular mentor for sure, eventually the kind of stuff that I was putting out there, I began losing passion for because it just wasn't my voice and angle anymore. It was just more about putting something out there in the structure that he wanted me to do it in. And eventually I just lost interest for it because I'm like, just the way things were worded, it just wasn't me. And so eventually I ended up parting ways with that mentor, and I took a 2-week break and from everything, just to give myself time to kind of recenter back, reground, and to kind of like, and then after that 2 weeks, I had 1 week after that. I put out a particular post on Monday and then Wednesday and then Friday. And I did all 3 of those posts in a way that was my language, my angle, my passion, my words, and all that other stuff. And I resonated with those posts very much so. Interesting enough, it was the very first time ever I have gotten really good interactions back to back on all 3. Normally I put something out on Facebook, one will get a little bit of interaction, and then the rest, the algorithm just buries and just puts, and I don't really get any responses. So when that happened, though, I saw that as a confirmation sign saying, okay, yes, this is what you need to be doing. This is you. And so, now it's just, I'm very particular on what I put out there, when I put out there. And then the other cool thing that just recently happened is about a month ago. There's this guy that approached me on Facebook. He has this content creation company and and he put me into like some kind of 30-day free trial period where his VA, now my VA technically, just used a lot of my stuff and created like content, created like these pictures with words and different things like that, all this other stuff. Interesting enough, so I didn't end up like hiring the company. Once the 30-day trial period was over, I was like, no. Not because I didn't like what they were putting out, but just I'm just not at the point in my business where I need something like that yet. But if I'm really honest with myself, I enjoy doing that myself. I really do. And I realize that the day is going to come when I probably will want to outsource that to somebody else for sure. But for now, I like doing it. One of the really good things that came out of hiring that company for the 30-day free trial period was I was able to see what they were doing and how they were doing it. And I very quickly realized I could easily do this. And I can do this on free platforms. I don't have to pay for professional memberships to special platforms. There's tons of ways of getting around all that and getting creative. Yeah, you might have to use 3 different things, 3 different apps or whatever it is to get whatever done you want to get done. But I produce my content very easily for free, and I love doing it. And, there's some things that I saw them create that I was like, huh, I never thought about that one. Never thought about that design. Oh, I could do this. Oh, I can add this. And oh, that's interesting. So it was probably the best thing I could have done, diving into that 30-day trial period with the company, because I learned a ton just by watching how they created stuff.
That's
The other
cool.
reason, the
Yeah.
other recent thing that I have
Yes,
discovered.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. The other recent I love it. The other recent thing that I've discovered.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I love that. The other recent cool thing that I've discovered, and when I discovered it, I was just like, why haven't I been doing this all along? I didn't realize how easy this was. Is when I create like a video, if it's a long video, like maybe 30-minute, an hour video for content, for my new masterclass that's coming out soon is a great example, as I was producing all the videos for that, and I was going back and doing all the edits. I then realized how easy it was to take content like that and create little reels out of it. And it was way simpler than I thought it would be. And once I got into that flow and that energy, it's like I'm opening it up, the videos, and I'm trying to do the edits, but I'm getting more distracted as I get like little pieces. I'm like, oh, that would be good. That would be a good reel. Oh, I'm going to take a little piece here, and I'm going to combine it with this piece here. This would be a great reel. Da da da. Pretty soon, I've got my whole week's content, little reels that I've created just off of like one little 20, 30-minute video. And, it's just amazing. So one of the, there's a mentor that I'm working with right now, Anna Berger. We've interviewed her on this show quite a few episodes ago. And we, Aldwyn and I both work very closely with her. And one of the things she is very, very well known for saying is, how can I make this easy, simple, and fun? And I mean, that is perfect. Everything is easy, simple, and fun. If you are coming into some kind of a challenge or whatever, it's about sitting back and going, okay, how can I make this easy, simple, and fun? Or let's say your content's not coming together the way you want it to, and you're having some challenges and it's taking longer than you want. I've had that happen to me before.
Yeah.
How can I make this easy, simple, and fun? And it's like, as you get into the habit of getting into that kind of a mind frame with things, it turns into easy, simple, and fun. And that's what it's about. Where did the whole concept come from that work has to be grinding, work has to be hard, work has to be time consuming, you have to put in a certain amount of hours to be successful? Where did that whole concept come from? The whole concept actually came from our belief system up here.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that way. I mean, just even the idea of you have to spend hours into your business doesn't have to be that way either. It can be easy, simple, and fun. So, I love being creative, all that to say. I love being creative, and I love doing shows like this. I mean, it brings me a lot of joy. And then the last thing I'll say here is, curating a habit, a regular habit of being present as well is also really, really important.
Yeah.
And curating. And that's something that I've also been working on as well, curating more of a regular habit of being present. Because interesting enough, when you are in the present moment and you're not thinking about the past, you're not thinking about the future, you are in the present moment. Now I'm going to get a little bit, some of the audience, this might just go right over your head, but I'm going to ask you to tune in with me here and come with me with this thought pattern. When you are in the present, everything you want, everything you desire is yours for the taking, and you are connected to it in the present moment. You have it. So I'm going to ask you to wrap your heads around that one.
Well, you know, it's interesting you mentioned that, because one of the things engaging in the arts, whatever aspect of it, is that there's a measure of focus, and focus does keep you in the moment. When you're focused, either whether you're sewing or you're writing or you're coloring or you're singing or you're playing your ukulele, your guitar, you're in that moment with your body, with, you know, your ears listening, you maybe your voice, you're in that moment with that activity, and very much focused, and it is working brilliance in your brain. It's connecting all these left and right brain dendrites that are so healthy. And that's why, as I've been studying more and have these stories of art bringing healing to people mentally, emotionally, and physically, it is exciting because it's simple. Like you said, it doesn't have to be hard, and you don't have to identify as an artist or identify as a musician to get pleasure. You know, as Aldwyn was saying, I'm enjoying this ukulele. Others are better, but it sounds fun. It sounds great. I'm enjoying it. And really, that is the point. If art isn't fun, and you know, it breaks my heart as an art teacher when students tell me, oh my goodness, art was the most boring class I ever had. They put these slides up. I slept through them. And I just want to cry. I literally want to cry. And, you know, and I taught in college using textbooks. And be honest, most of them are written by art history professors. Okay. Well, guess which side of the brain art history professors use? Left brain. And even though they may love art and love their topic, they're just coming at it from a left brain point of view. So I wrote a textbook for my art history and appreciation textbook students, for students that I know are never going to study art in college again. They're never going to go to graduate school to become art historians. I probably had one in 10 years that really, really was passionate about the arts and was going to go farther. So I wrote this book, and you know, from a biblical perspective, which most of Western art history is from, you know, was commissioned by and supported by the church or some church, and throughout history has a lot of spiritual impact and meaning to it. And I wrote it to really with 1,800 images so that they could look at it. Some of them will never read the book. You know, it's 630 pages. They're not going to read it, but they'll look at the pictures. And I want them to create an opinion, and I make them choose somebody that ministers to them, that somebody that they like, that stopped them from turning pages. And they said, what is this? And who is this? Look them up. Let's talk about, you know, Jean-Michel Basquiat. Let's talk about, you know, Vincent van Gogh and his struggles. And they're like, wow, they had struggles too, you know, and wow, he only sold one painting in his entire lifetime, and now it costs you 50 million to buy one of them, you know? So, you know, these are real stories. And, you know, having overcome that negative, I'm not good enough, like you were talking about, Aldwyn, one of the fears that people have is I'm just not good enough, is to say, you know what, that was such a lie. I could learn how to be better. I could work till I satisfied myself. I'm still not the world's best artist, but you know what? I get joy out of it, and I give joy out of doing it. And you know, I'm in the moment when I'm doing it, like you're talking about, Ken. And another healing story, and this is a true story. When I was homeschooling, and I always made didn't make the parents, but I encouraged the parents to take the class with their child, and they very often did. And I discovered some, wow, truly talented artists in the parents, not just the students. Well, this one mom, all of a sudden was diagnosed with a severe case of breast cancer, and was really given a limited time to live, going through radiation and chemo and surgery to remove, surgery to add. So I was preparing for this really big art project in 9 months. It was going to be a whole room installation made out of porcelain, and it was called Taste and See Sweet Shop. And everything was going to be made out of clay: cakes, cookies, candies, cupcakes, um, the stands, and everything that it was presented upon. We were making it at my studio, and I asked her to come and join me in that project. And she was crying, "I don't even know if I'll be there, in 9 months." It's like, okay, but meanwhile, you're going to leave a legacy. You're going to leave something beautiful, because she was so talented with her hands. And, she'd make little roses and flowers and calla lilies, and we decorated cakes, and we decorated these cupcakes with all of these cool things together. Oh, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pieces. And the whole room, we found furniture in a thrift store, and we finished it and covered it, and had tablecloths and banners, and people came in through the door, pulled out money. They were buying some chocolates that would break their teeth if they tried to eat them. But, the point is, she was there. And not only that, she's there now. 9 years later, she's still here. She beat cancer. She's cancer free. And yes, she did all the medical stuff, but mentally and emotionally, being present, to have fun, to enjoy this process, to have a project, to have something to look forward to, she still credits with saving her life. So I
Mm.
know what I'm talking about is fun, but it's also critical. It's important in these times where the news just feels worse and worse every day. There's so much darkness, and we're not by all of that. We're just not. But when you can engage in something that truly is restoring your mind and bringing these incredible healing factors, find something creative to enjoy in your life. Maybe you're remembering, wow, I remember when I used to love to knit. I used to love to do poetry. I used to love, to play the piano, or I always wanted to. It's never too late. You're not too old, and you do have that creative spark in you. And sometimes you have to shut that left brain bully down that's telling you, you can't do that. You can't. It's like, shut up. I'm going to do it anyway. And, there's plenty of stuff out there. I'm an art mentor. I love working with people. I've got great stories of people. They wouldn't show anybody their work. They loved it. They loved to paint, but they were so disappointed and discouraged by their talent or their abilities that they just wouldn't show anybody their work. Now, after taking classes, she's deep. Her work is so deep. Everything she does, oh my gosh, she ministers to me. Every one of her paintings, she's able to do what she always wanted to do. So get help if you need it. You got some extra spendable cash. Spend it on something that you love. Take ukulele lessons, or join a group, or guitar lessons, or singing, or art. There's art mentors around. What is it? What is it that does bring you joy? And remember when you were a child. Remember what did you love? Because you know what? That child is still in you. That
Yeah.
little 4-year-old is still there. Why do you think Aldwyn has Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse and smiley faces? Because that child that is full of joy is still part of who she is. And she may be an old lady of 50. Ha! I got a kid almost your age,
Oh my
You're
gosh.
still a youngster, but that is a milestone, half a century. Any way you look at it. 50, it feels like, I've had all these dreams of my life coming together to bring me to this place where I'm really full of life and joy and good health, and you radiate, and you just vibrate with health and wellness. So, as I call my program, art as self-therapy, wellness through creativity. I think you exemplify it. You and Ken both, as you have chosen to serve your community, serve the world at large through putting these video podcasts together. It's a lot of work, and you're not getting paid to do it. So there's something that you're getting in the moment of joy and satisfaction as yeah, we all learn from each other, but you're also providing a beautiful service to others, and you're a great example of it yourself. So I commend you. And if I had that little thing, I'd say, yes, 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 keep doing it. Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
I love it. I love it. I've got to add to what you said, especially to that little voice. Anna calls it Siri, that little voice inside of your head. But
Siri.
So, yeah. So she's got so many really cool illustrations, and I love her illustrations, her metaphors that she uses. They're very, very effective. But it's like, especially when that voice is in your head and it's telling you, you can't do that. You're not good enough to do that. Or, or you're playing with a question, maybe at the start of the day, maybe you're meditating. And let's say you're playing with a question. If I could do anything today, if I could play with anything today, what would I do? And you're exploring that question and meditating on it. And then that little voice comes in and says, "Oh, you get an idea. Let's say a random idea pops in your head. It's huge, and it's all this and whatever. Nah, you can't do that. Nah, that'd be too much. Nah, it'd take too much time." Here's how you get around that voice. Here's a little hack. You say, "Well, I know I can't do it. But if I could, how would I do it?" It's a great way to get around it. It's like, well, yeah, sure. I know I can't do it, but if I could, how would I do it? It's absolutely brilliant. And this is from some of the work that, I've been doing with my mentor, but you don't even have to listen to that voice. I mean, part of that might be true, but is it really? And in actuality, it's not. Because when you listen to that voice, you are buying into the limiting beliefs that are up here. And those are going to squash the creativity. It
Easily.
it doesn't have to look like what you think it should look like. So let me explain what I mean by that. Instead of starting your day on autopilot, just doing the normal thing that you normally do, you're getting into your business, contacting the people and putting out content. I mean, this is what you normally know to do. That's it. It's automatic. It's been programmed in, it's just, that's the normal day-to-day routine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But what would happen if you started your day and treated the moments in your day as brand new, each and every one of them, and an opportunity to do something a different way or differently?
It's good.
It's a brand new time for you to take that moment and not do the automatic stuff, but look for something different. Ask yourself a different question around it or something like that. You've got that moment as an opportunity to either, one, do what you've always done, which, again, I preface that there's nothing really wrong with that, but you've also got the opportunity to take that moment and now create something new out of that moment that's different.
You were talking about a hack for shutting down that, what I call left brain bully. What I learned very early on, even when I was still teaching in my little studio, had students in my studio, I said, this is a safe space. we're going to create a no criticism zone. Even for when I had young children, what does no criticism mean? What is criticism? It's amazing how quickly we learn what criticism is and what it feels like and what it looks like, even as little children. We know, unfortunately. But what if, just as you're describing right now, Ken, right in this moment, we're going to have a no criticism zone. Whatever we choose to do that's unique, that's special, that's outside of our comfort zone maybe, but it's something fun we've thought about doing before, and we're going to say no criticism, no judgment. We're going to shut that bully down. We're going to say we're going to try it. We'll watch a YouTube video. We bought we bought this program a long time ago. We're actually going to put in that first video or plug it in. The last 3 years, all around the world, we've all learned how to come online, right? And for people like me, I'm going to be 70 next month. So I'm of the generation that didn't grow up with computers. Okay. They weren't in our wheelhouse at all. It has all been a very steep climb.
My mom would identify with you so greatly. She hates computers. She has a hard enough time with her phone getting the thing to work. And then half the time she gets herself in a bind and she's like, "Can you fix this for me?" And I'm just like, so one of the things, sorry to interrupt you, Karen, keep a hold of your thought, by the way. But one of the things I've been teaching her to do, because a lot of times the solution is right on the screen. It's right in front of her eyes. And I've been teaching her, look at the screen, read through it, examine it. You tell me what you think you should do. Most of the time that helps. But there are some times where she genuinely gets in a bind and I have to go and swipe something off her screen or do something else. But anyhow, continue.
You're a good son. You're a good son, Ken.
Thank you.
Well, Aldwyn, I just want to tell you, when I was 53 and my children a couple of them were still homeschooling, a couple of them were already grown and gone, I went back to school for filmmaking. And, one of the things I did when I was a little girl was I always was doing plays in the playgrounds. And for Jerry's kids, Jerry Lewis used to have a telethon every year, and you would do a play in the backyard and charge $1, and send your $15 to Jerry's kids, which was for muscular dystrophy. And, I always did these elaborate productions using sheets for, it was part of my DNA. And my father being an Irish storyteller, it was music and art and drama have always been in my family. And so going to film school was a steep learning curve. I'd never even touched an Apple computer before. I didn't even know how to turn it on. It's like, where are the icons? I don't even know what to do with it. Hey, young kid over here, come show me what to do. And it was 4 years of just outside my comfort zone. I loved every minute of it. And I discovered, no, I don't want to be a camera person. I did a little bit of, weddings or whatever with videography, but that was not my thing. I love producing and directing. I don't like writing scripts. Although I help my students, I got to go to Uganda last year to be an art teacher and filmmaker with a group of rescued Ugandan youths who are in this church all living together. And they were so talented. I got to help judge a youth talent competition for, 8-hour days judging all these acts. They were just amazing. And we started a film school. They were able to get some internet, not every week, but a lot of the time. They've already written and produced one movie and put it out. And then we've already written a script. So I've helped them write scripts, but just helping them tell their stories. And that's what I've been pulling out of them. They have such incredible stories. We think we've had a lot to overcome. These kids will humble you in a heartbeat with what they've had to overcome. They're beautiful. They're joyful. They're joyful. They've chosen joy in spite of all that they've had to overcome in their life. A lot of them have no place else to go. They were literally on the streets, literally homeless. I mean, this, when you read about the horrors, it's one thing, but when you meet these shining young people, what they've been through, their stories, we need their stories, and tell these stories. And so, 50 is just a springboard to the rest of your life. You know, you are
Thank
young and beautiful and vibrant. You are loved, and you have so much ahead of you. And I know the best is yet to come. I believe it. Ken, the best is yet to come. You know, and your mom, my mom is turning 92 in just a couple weeks, and she's got a, you know, an Apple Watch. She's got an iPad. She's got an iPhone. She is wired up, and she knows how to use them. And she's got her earbuds in, and she's like, you know, when you call her, it's like, which device is the phone ringing on? You know, she which one she's going to answer. And I love it because it's keeping her vibrant. You know, she's got all of her faculties. She's a great heritage, and you know, that's what we want. We all want to leave a heritage for our families. We want to leave good things for them, and the arts and the music and dance and these things, they're part of who we are and who we were created to be. So I just say this to, you know, all you listeners, you know, find your joy, find that place. Remember what brought you that joy when you were a child. You know, what was it? And it may be engineering. You know what? An engineer, artist, they become architects. You know, they're so brilliant in both brains. I mean, that's one idea, but there's nobody that just is right brained or left brained all the way. We need both sides of our brain working together. And that's my advocacy as an art mentor, as a creativity specialist, is to stir that up and get that right brain to catch up to the left brain, to start building those neural connections and those beautiful dendrites of not, instead of I can't do this or I'm not good enough, but saying, yes, it's fun, the whole process. Let's have joy. Let's have community. And, you know, didn't we find that out with all that the last few years, how much community means? And yes,
you.
we've learned to do it, you know, and talk to somebody in Australia and the West Coast and the East Coast of America at the same time. It's so wonderful. So I don't take this for granted. Yes, yes. We can be community. We can encourage each other. We can say, even to you guys listening, is what is your creative spark? What gives you joy? And what can you practice every day? 18 minutes. That's what the experts and all the neuroscientists say. 18 minutes a day can grow that right brain and make those connections and make you more brilliant. Get rid of brain fog, get rid of, you know, those tendencies of forgetfulness that we can blame on age. Well, I'm not going there. I'm not agreeing with that. You know, I'm saying the best years of my life are ahead of me too. And we may have a few aches and pains and be a little slower going. But just got to spend a month in Germany with my little grandchildren. My sons are musicians, and they're writers, and they're singers and songwriters, and they also teach English, which is supernaturally a miracle to me, because they did not do well in homeschool in English, and now they teach it. They work
Nice.
to be very, very certified. But being able to spend time with the grands, and, you know, practicing German, you know, getting on Duolingo every day, morning and night, saying, I'm going to be able to communicate with these little people that are my little grandkids. And their dads are making a point to teach them English, because they're around people in Germany all the time speaking German to them, including their mothers and their daycare, their coworkers, their family over there is all German. Well, grandma was there. Grandma, not Oma, but grandma was in town. They learned about American baking. They learned all kinds of stuff about America. And even that I'm going to fly there. And, you know, they were not happy about me leaving, and we get to see each other through WhatsApp, you know, the video streaming. Thank God for that, because they can remember grandma. And so there's ways to find your joy, keep yourself and your mind active. And it's never too late. It's not too
Absolutely. Never too late. 70 is the new 40, my friends. 70 is the new 40. And you look amazing, Karen, I must say, for 70. And something I've noticed working in the media for over 30 years, I've interviewed some extraordinary people. And in fact, just recently, I did an interview with an icon in Australia. He's an actor, he's a singer, he's a very creative personality called Barry Crocker. Did a fantastic interview with him. Now, he was not great with the technology. However, he got the right support to be able to do, we did nearly a 2-hour show. He's 88 years of age and he looks about 60. He's extraordinary. And what I've noticed is that people who use creativity in their life, who are artistic, who express themselves in whatever creative way that is, they tend to live longer in general, I've noticed. I mean, as long as you've got your health that you're looking after as well, you're not part of the 27 club. I mean, we have had some extraordinary performers like, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison.
Michelle Basquiat, the artist,
The 27 club. There's so many that passed at 27 too. However, that there was drugs and there was other things involved, obviously, with those situations. However, really, I've also seen on the other side, lots of people live long, happy lives, look so much younger when they're creative. And I just did a little Google about the benefits of art therapy, because I have actually done some art therapy classes myself in the past, having had depression myself in the past. I've found arts have been brilliant for me, whether it's doodling or and actually I dated an artist once, and he just gave me a little art pad and a little art line pen, and I used to just doodle. And it was fantastic therapy for me, was doodling. And I actually created some amazing works of art, which I might share one day on my socials. I actually love art, and I've actually had art now in exhibitions. I've done acting. I've been in the performance arts in so many different ways. I'm a photojournalist by trade. These are all creative things. And then, things like body surfing. I love body surfing. That's creative in its own way. Little things like getting out amongst nature. So what it says online here about art therapy, it says art therapy can help people express themselves more freely, improve their mental health, and improve interpersonal relationships. So the basis of art therapy is established on the idea that people can recover and feel better via artistic expression. And that could be even gardening, right? It could be something as simple as gardening. It could be a creative form. There's so many different things we can do that bring us joy. And it comes down to noticing these thoughts we have. There were some great things mentioned that both of you mentioned there. And I want to touch on, as we say, we can be our own worst enemy sometimes with the thoughts in our head. I'm not good at this, or I'm not naturally gifted, or blah, 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 or they're just naturally good at something. I mean, that's really not true. Everything is a practiced art, really. And you become better, I guess. I mean, if you're to be a surfer, generally, if you fall off the surfboard or whack your head with the surfboard, is generally not a great way to go. So over time, you might be able to stay on the surfboard longer, right? As an example, I know there's a surfer that's joined us here on Instagram, because I can see Tony McFarlane's got a picture of him on a surfboard as his profile picture on Instagram. And I can see Christchurch photographer, he's got a photo of him with a camera there. They're creative arts. And thank you to all those who've joined us on all the different platforms. Let us know in the comments, what are some things that give you joy? So we have, if you're not aware, we have 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. Most people, I say about 60,000 thoughts a day we have going on. Out of those thoughts, for most people, 95% of the same thoughts you had the day before, repetitive thoughts. 80% in general are negative. So I love what Ken was saying about asking quality questions. And I've put a comment in here, actually, one of Tony Robbins' famous quotes: the quality of your life is a direct reflection of the quality of the questions you are asking yourself. If you want a better quality of life, ask better quality questions. How can I do this better? There's always mentors out there that can help you with anything if you want to get better at it. As they say, you're either going to invest in two ways to be able to master things. You're going to invest with your time. Most people invest with their time to save money, or you invest with your money and get some mentors and save yourself time, okay, which of course time is the most valuable thing you're going to have in your life. There's so much I can say on this, and I love being creative. For me, it has been an absolute godsend, an absolute lifesaver, being creative. Even when I went through my really depressing period, when I was drinking a lot, smoking a lot, doing a lot of drugs through my teenage years, I was being creative in some way. In fact, I used to play table tennis. Table tennis was a very creative thing. I used to get my anger out with table tennis, and then I started doodling, and I started singing, and I got creative with my hair. I used to put different, all sorts of different things in my hair, and I was out there creative in one way or another. And my whole life, it's been an underlying part of the joy that I've had through my life, and hence why I've just turned 50 and I look about 25. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that lovely compliment. And I actually feel that. And my dad's turned 86. It's his birthday the same day as mine, as well as Moss and Sade also share the same birthday, January 16. And my dad says he's 86, and he says he feels in his mind he's still as alert as when he was 20. And this is the thing. Yes, our body will age, And how you choose to do your life is totally up to you, because the point is, a third of people die by 65, 1/3 of the population. So if you've made it through another year, that is something to celebrate. And I thought to myself, as I was turning 50, I thought, I thought I might have had kids by now. I thought I might have been married by now. Well, it hasn't happened. It just hasn't happened. Maybe it wasn't meant to happen. However, I have had an extraordinary life. And I think sometimes we need to just let go of whatever we thought we expected things to happen by a certain time. Things happened as they happened. And every day is a chance to start again. Every single day is a reset
Amen.
on your life.
You mentioned about art therapy, and I'm an artist and an art teacher, not really an art therapist, but I've, just discovered it. And one of the studies I read about had to do with Walter Reed Hospital in the United States. It's the foremost military hospital in America. And they were treating, and they were doing a special program for, the soldiers coming back with PTSD. Just besides the physical things they were dealing with, they were also dealing with emotional and mental illness and great depression and sorrow. And afterwards, after they took them through these 2-month regimen of therapy, some of them had incredible success, and they did a survey. What was your favorite thing we did? And it was overwhelming majority the art. So here these soldiers, wounded warriors, are having an opportunity for self-expression, and they found that to be the most helpful thing to help them recover from the trauma of war and what they'd been through. And so it's real. There is even a neuroscience called neuroarts, and they're doing all these studies, and it's still ongoing research, because the mind and the brain is such a mystery in so many ways. And as you've suffered in your own life from being depressed to walking in love and joy, it gives us compassion for each other when we've suffered the lows and not had things go the way we want. I worked one year a few years ago on a sculpture, and I got into a big prestigious art show, and it was an honor to qualify for this show. And I spent 3 months, probably 500 hours on this one sculptural piece. It was 48 inches, and it was of a chair. It was grandma's chair. It was made out of individual tiles. It was hollow, and it was actually a cockle oven, which is a ceramic tile stove, which I learned living in Germany and seeing them from the Alps. And they're the most efficient way to heat a space possible, which I don't need. I live in the South, but it was something I was fascinated by. And I made this chair look like a chair. Somebody could sit in it, and it was made out of tiles, and it was just a huge accomplishment. And got in the show. It took a forklift to get it in place. It weighed so much, and it didn't win anything. Now, again, it was an honor to be in the show. It was a juried show. I was so disappointed. It was one of the most humbling things in my life, to where I feel like all these streams of my life, I was doing something. I had done my master's thesis about cockle ovens. I hadn't made one in 30 years, and it was my second one, and it was a huge ordeal. And it actually, when it was brought home on a cart, what do you call it? Pull behind on a truck, to bring it home. It actually got destroyed over railroad tracks. They had bound it too tight, and when it went over the railroad tracks, it literally caved in on itself. I didn't care. I was already so disappointed. So just having to really evaluate: am I an artist? Am I any good or not? I just got. I got the wind pulled out of my sails. It was an expensive project. I spent so much time on it, and it felt like a failure. It felt like a failure. So when we've experienced the lows of our career or the highs of our career, you just say, it's not going to stop me. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep Keep being creative. We call ourselves practicing artists because we always feel like we're practicing. If you
Yeah.
don't stretch yourself, if you're not trying something new, like Ken was saying, if you're not thinking outside the box every day, you may be good at it or not. I've been doing an online business now, being my online mentor for 3 years now. And it feels like there's always something new to learn, a new program. Oh, now I got to learn Canva. Oh, now I got to learn. I'd never done Facebook before. This was all new world. They don't teach you marketing, sales in art school. They don't teach you anything about it in film school. I remember my husband asking me a few years into it, is like, does this ever make any money? Oh, I'm an independent filmmaker in South Carolina. How much money do you think I'm going to ever make? Right? Money just doesn't motivate creatives. It's just not something that is the foremost. Otherwise, we would do our lives differently if it was about money. But it would really be helpful, I think, if every school had some marketing and sales courses.
Yeah.
Because here I am at this age, learning marketing, learning how to sell my classes and how to sell myself as a mentor and as an artist. And it's not easy. It's a combination again of left brain, right brain thinking.
Yeah.
Sport, you mentioned sports. Do you know the first exercise I have my students do when they're going to learn to draw is throw a ball and catch it?
Wow.
Because learning to draw is eye-hand coordination, just like,
Mm.
throwing and catching a ball is, your eyes are seeing where to put your hands. And then when you're going to throw it, how far away the person is, or the wall, if you're going to bounce it against the wall, or somebody's going to bat it. So you're always looking at eye-hand coordination. And that's the first skill you need to learn to draw naturally.
Oh, I love that. Gosh, so many gems there. And 80% of anything you do, in fact, is marketing. And we're not taught this. And actually, the world of marketing is changing so rapidly. In fact, Facebook started in 2004. So it's only been 20 years since we've had social media, roughly 20 years. And now we have half the world's population are active social media users, right? About 4.9 billion people now, active social media users. So we are in ever-changing times. And of course, now with AI, it's like the super highway of information. And now it's like the biggest challenge now for people is just staying focused, focusing on one thing and not being so distracted by a million things. It's full on out there at the moment. And if you're not stepping up to be seen, heard, and known in whatever field that you're in, then you're not going to monetize it in general. You need that marketing arm. You need a team to make the dream work, as they say, right? It's very important. And those who have become very successful artists, singers, etc., they've had marketing behind them. They've had people that are good at that stuff. Because the thing is when you get creative, I mean, doing a bit of research in the quantum field and, studying Dr. Sir David Hawkins, who talked about how we vibrate at different frequencies when we get in different emotions. And when we're in the heart space, which is actually, these chakras are actually scientifically proven. These are energy centers in the body. When we come into the heart space, which is represented by the green color, the green energy, and it actually extends, our heart chakra extends right out to our hands. And this, when we're in this love energy, this passion energy, time and space disappear. And this is a great way to know when you have joy in your life. And it could be lovemaking for some people, right? It could be lovemaking. And this is why often when you have a great lovemaking session, time and space disappear. And I must say, it's been a while for me now, so I wouldn't really know what that's like. I have to sort of go back in the memory banks for that one. However, I'm 50 now, so things might be changing this year. Let's just see what happens there. But, this is the thing. What is it? Where time and space disappear. When I do art classes, time and space disappear. When I'm body surfing, time and space disappear. When I'm playing ukulele, when I'm singing, when I'm doing a show like this is why Ken and I, we do mammoth shows sometimes where we just keep on going because we love it. And although we do need to wrap up shortly, this is the thing to notice. What is it for you where time and space disappear when you're doing?
Absolutely. And it is one of the gifts of being in the arts is, we're talking about with Ken with focus, same thing with no time or distance in the spirit, it's touching base with the part of us that's human, that's deeper. We have, you're talking about vibrations and chakras and whatever language you use for it. There is more to us than meets the eye. And our spirit man is where it comes from, that central section, that heart section. It's where we can hear from the creator, where we can hear from things that are deeper than us, that are smarter than us, that are more talented than us, that we have access. I talk about being an anointing. My husband and I do have a worship service, and it's the creatives. It's called Imagine Gathering. It's the artists and musicians and singers and songwriters and drummers and people that paint and draw, and we gather weekly as often as we can to just enjoy using those gifts to express our love for the creator. And as we do that, something happens outside of time and space. Something happens bigger than ourselves, supernaturally. And so, yes, the arts have that capacity. They say music, tames the wild beast. Well, there's something, how many times have you just gotten outside of yourself listening to an incredible song or incredible music? It works. It brings us out of our trapped place of the physical into something deeper and richer and more enjoyable. My husband watches those videos where they show water when it's spoken to with life. How and then when it's cursed at, or plants and how they thrive, under words, and then they die on others, and the water gets all organized when it's in a peaceful environment or certain types of music, and then when it's discordant, it's all rupply. I mean, these things, you can't make this stuff up. This is so amazing. So we're all greater than the sum of our parts, and I appreciate you allowing me to get on your show and talk about this arena. And I'm talking to the choir, so to speak, because you are creatives. You're already on this team, as we acknowledge that we do need to all express ourselves in deeper and greater ways for our own health, for our own well-being, and to leave a legacy and to make a difference around us and to others, which you guys are doing. So thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's Dr. Emoto. Actually, if anyone wants to look up that study on where the water particles were analyzed, and when you put different emotions in the water, it was frozen. And it's amazing the different patterns that happened when you give something love, and thinking we're 70% water as human beings. And when you give yourself love, how you glow and you shine. And when you give yourself hate, as in negative self-talk, as in, oh, I'm not a singer, oh, I'm not a guitarist. However, you could be a human being, couldn't you, that plays guitar or enjoys it sometimes, right? Or you could be a human being that enjoys singing sometimes. It doesn't make you a singer as such, right? Oh, I'm a singer. You don't have to be brilliant, or what you consider brilliant, like X Factor, to actually consider, to have fun with something, right? This is about enjoying the journey and turning your mess into your message, because at the end of every breakdown, my friends, there's always a breakthrough. It is about enjoying the journey. And I know Ken wants to say something. We've got Bradley here also says, send the Barry Crocker interview link. Yes, I'll pop that in here in just a moment, Bradley. Thank you. He says, love the show. Thank you, Bradley. We love having you on. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll pop that. That Barry Crocker interview was amazing. You've got to watch it. It's phenomenal on Media Queen TV. I'll pop it in just a sec while Ken says something. Over to you, Ken.
Thank you. Yeah, Karen, it's been 100% pleasure having you on the show for sure today. I'm trying to collaborate what I want to say. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit more earlier, so I'm just going to briefly touch on it here. It's interesting, the education system out there, how it's designed, and what it's caused and what it does to a lot of people. I've also recently been coming across some content that has been talking further about this kind of stuff on, were we really meant to sit in a classroom for 8 hours a day and be just shoved information, and then when we get bored or something, when we're not interested, then we're punished because we are not obeying? Isn't it just interesting how that system literally has squashed a lot of the creativity? They don't to be honest with you, that system was designed to do just that. They don't want you being creative. They don't want you thinking for yourself. They want to what's the word that I'm looking for? It's right there.
Press. Suppress us?
Not suppress, although that is a really good word. They want to it's what happens. Oh, there it is. They want to literally desensitize you and literally program you to basically be that kind of person. To basically be the obedient one. You know, you're gonna this is the way your life is gonna look. You're gonna go to school, and then you're gonna work a 9-to-5 job, and then you're gonna barely be able to pay your bills and all this other stuff. They want you that way. Why?
Follow the arrows in the grocery store.
Yeah,
and we
exactly.
start out with that.
Exactly. It's, it's just interesting. Yeah, Scamdemic, summer of 2020, that was the perfect example on what they want to do.
Yeah.
The schooling system and all of that
Yeah.
was designed to make you into the person that obeys, that wears that mask, that follows the little arrows, that distance and doesn't talk to people. Oh, da da da. They don't want you becoming a person that questions. They don't want you becoming a person that does your own research. They don't want you to become the person that looks at the data for yourself.
Yeah, I've talked to some teachers that are talking about the students that are now going back into the classroom after, being online and doing their own thing. They're not doing well in the sit down and be quiet for 7 hours thing anymore.
That's because, and I'm really grateful for this, for a large part of it. Now, granted, there are still lots of people that are asleep that need to wake the freaking crap up. And that's not the way I want to express that. I'd rather use a real powerful word, but I'm not going to do it here on this show. It's basically the F word.
Not the L word, love. It's love or fear. Fear is the other word.
It's like summer of 2020 was the perfect precursor to what they want. The whole system, and this is kind of where I was going with this. So thankfully, there's a lot of people that are waking up. And thankfully, summer of 2020 was a wake-up call to a lot of people. And thankfully, summer of 2020 was a needed interruption call to a lot of people's lives. A lot of people's lives got interrupted and hard stop. And what did that do? That caused people to then sit back and start thinking and start creating something different. And so now, like what Karen's saying, now a lot of these students and people, they don't want to go back in the classroom. Why? Because they are starting to wake up. They are starting to think. That's what we need to get back to. Honestly, I am somewhat grateful that my high school and junior high days, I don't remember much about anything I learned in school. Going through, my mom put me through private school, and I'm grateful that she did, because the particular private school that I was in was very laxed with a couple of things. And one of them was how I graduated. So I basically graduated high school because I had enough credits to graduate it. And I never took a science class. In fact, well, I did, but I failed miserably at it, and I never retook it. I never passed pre-algebra. I never took a foreign language. I passed high school because I had enough credits too. And I'm grateful that that system was in place, because I don't think I would have passed high school. None of it ever interested me. None of it ever really interested me. There was actually, however, one thing that did, and it was towards my senior year, junior high senior year. A history teacher that I had she was a very unique person. very, very unique. And I intuition, I mean, I don't know what it was, but I caught on to it. And I ended up kind of becoming really good friends with her. She ended up teaching me how the very beginning stages of how to play guitar. I found out later she was a Christian. I was able to invite her to my church a couple times. I was able to help her out with a few other things. That's the only thing that really meant a lot to me. Other than that, I hated that system. Getting out of high school was the best thing I could have done. And that's one of the reasons why I'm grateful for that private school, is because I had the easy door out, and I was glad that I did. I did try to go to college, junior college for a little bit. And yeah, that didn't stick very much either. We were designed to be creative, and isn't it funny that even through all the school systems, the college systems that are out there, even through all of that, isn't it funny? Isn't it interesting that creativity is not encouraged? All this to say, you guys, is I'm just posing the question to you guys. Look at what's been in front of you your entire lives, and then take a look at this summer of 2020 on what they really tried to do. I mean, that was more of the forceful in your face hit. So just think about it, you guys. Creativity is everything.
You know what I made out of clay that year? A ton of them. I made cups with Q's on them and Q's to hang on Christmas tree.
I love it. Yes.
Me and my circle. Yeah, we're all Q fans. Yeah.
So am I. Yes, Q is not the evil thing that the media will paint them out to be. It's a group of people. It's not a person.
I was in Washington for January 6th, so I've already been labeled a whole bunch of names.
Yes.
But anyhow, so I know we got to wrap up the show soon, but I had to insert that because I'm very, very passionate about that. Honestly, like I'm a health coach, like I'm a weight loss coach, and maybe, schooling and different things like that might help me with nutrition, but I'd rather do my own research on my own and gain my own knowledge, because that's what's going to make me special, and not just be regurgitating the normal mainstream stuff.
Amen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, love this conversation. It has been so cool. And one big thing that's happened through the last few years, through this pandemic, scamdemic, whatever you want to call it, is that a lot of people have been homeschooling. And there are some great schools out there, actually like Steiner School, that encourage creativity. There are some good schools out there. However, the traditional education system has a lot to answer for. And in fact, I think now, well, we've seen in Australia, kids are literally getting away with murder now with what's been going on, because they took away the cane, they took away discipline. And of course, when kids get away with murder, they'll just keep murdering. They'll just keep harming animals and harming other kids. And, then they'll grow up and they'll be sociopaths and psychopaths, etc. And often I would say these kids are missing a bit of creativity in their life. I would imagine that maybe they just need to get a pen and paper out and do a bit of drawing and draw a big happy face and look at what you can be grateful for, because there's always something you can whinge about in life. In fact, that's how we've been conditioned through the mass media, is to live in drama. Right? Live in drama. And when you are stuck in your lower vibrational centers of anger and sadness and grief and shame and all those things, all that negative self-talk, then it's going to be very hard for you to express yourself. And this is why we have such a massive mental health epidemic going on out there. And this is why this conversation today has been so important, to bring some joy and creativity back to your life. You are a beautiful human being. You are 1 in a billion just by being born. And it's time perhaps this year for 2024 to express yourself and do what brings you joy. Please let us know, where are you joining us from? Where have you joined us? If you've been watching the live, we're about to wrap up shortly. Where are you joining us from? And what is one thing that brings you joy? One creative thing that brings you joy. Now, in wrapping up, Karen, I know Ken will be back with us in just a sec. His face seemed to just freeze there for a second. So he's obviously coming back in to reset. So Karen, where can people connect with you and how can they work with you?
Well, thank you for asking that question. Karen DeLoach.com/gift will connect you to a free gift, a book where I talk about creating a safe space and tell some of the stories about how you can be creative. So I'd love to connect with people there. I'd love to give out. I have a pop-up podcast, 3 episodes that is getcreativewithkaren.com, and that's being published in the next week, so it should be out there soon. Meanwhile, they can go to karendeloach.com/gift, and when I get your email and the podcast is produced, I can then send it to your email so you can listen to that. And I have some great ideas on it, on how you can simply, with joy, really stir up the creativity in your own life, give you some great ideas.
I love that. Thank you, Karen. And do you have a favorite quote or motto that you live by?
Be gracious to yourself. Treat yourself the way you would treat others.
I love that. Be gracious with yourself. Treat yourself as you would like to treat others. I love that. I love that. Very, very cool. And I'll pop those links here in the chat. So connect with Karen at Karen DeLoach. Actually, I think that's spelled incorrectly. Is it on there? It's L-O-A.
ECH, yeah,
L-
that's backwards.
uh,
.com, yeah, so just one
okay.
letter off. Sometimes I get it backwards too, but no,
Yeah,
that's fine.
I'll copy that out. And being creative actually takes a highly intelligent person to spell things multiple ways. And so this is keeping you on your toes, my friends. Okay, Karen DeLoach.
Sorry about that, guys. My screen froze and then everything
That's
froze,
okay.
so I had to like kind of exit
All
out and
good.
then reboot. Yep.
All good. All good. So Karen DeLoach, I'll spell it out because we will have people tuning in on audio on the podcast channels with this later. So Karen DeLoach is KarenDeloach, like coach with an L at the front, .com/gift, or go to getcreativewithkaren.com, which is GET creative, CREATIVE, creative with WITH, Karen, KAREN.com. So not as it's on the screen. I'm actually going to reset that. I'll redo that with the correct spelling. So Karen has shared her quote of the day. Ken, what about for you? What's your quote of the day and where can people connect with you?
Quote of the day is treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. And that is by Donald J. Trump, my hero.
Beautiful. Love it. And where can people connect with you, Ken?
People can connect with me through my link tree, which I've recently updated. And on that link tree, you are going to find a whole bunch of different links. But the top 3 at the top of the link tree is the most important. So the very first link in there, you're going to find the opportunity to connect with me here on Facebook. And that is my secondary newer profile because my main old profile got hacked. So if you get a message from me asking for money, that is not me. And please report the person. I'm working on getting that back, but yeah, just lots of different things have been happening. So it's been a little bit on the back burner. The second link on that list is going to be my calendar link, which gives you the opportunity to book an appointment with me. Hey, let me get the chance to get to know you, get to know more about you and vice versa. And then, maybe find out what some of your goals are as far as health and weight loss. If you need to even lose weight, if not, whatever, I would enjoy the opportunity to connect with you and just to get to know you more and just kind of network like that, Lastly, is you're going to find a link to my website. And so you can go on my website, you can check that out, poke around a little bit. Stay tuned on that as well, because as soon as I finish the last few touches that I've got to do, I've got a brand new masterclass that is launching that's going to be out soon. And that's called the 7 Mastery Keys of Weight Loss. And it's a phenomenal masterclass. But anyhow, on that, so my link tree can be found at www.linktr.ee/FatFighterKen.
Thank you so much, Ken. And of course, those who want to connect with me, you can do so at linktree/Aldwyn. That's linktr.ee/Aldwyn has all my links. Now, next week, I am actually hosting a brand new free 3-day challenge, which is called Step Up, Speak Up. Step Up, Speak Up. And part of that could be actually getting creative with something. So come and join us. It's going to be 8 a.m. till 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's Brisbane time. So for those in America, for the Los Angeles area, that will be the night before. Okay, so do the time conversion on that. So our 11 a.m. is your, in LA and PT time, is your 5 p.m. So this will be 3 hours before that. So it's going to be your 2 p.m. the night before. So it'll be your Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. or 2 p.m. Monday and Tuesday as well. So 3 days in a row, Step Up, Speak Up challenge. You can find the link in my link tree. Also, my calendar link is in there if you want to have a chat about how you can be seen, heard, and known through the mass media. I help people get out there, share their message, fine-tune their message, package you up, and get you out so that you go from the world's best kept secret. Who feels like that right now? World's best kept secret to being a star. And that could be also starting your own show, etc. So reach out, have a chat, free connection and clarity call there, link in my calendar that you will find there at linktree/Aldwyn, and lots of other cool links in there, all my social links. Check it out there. And I look forward to staying connected with you. Subscribe to my Media Queen TV channel as well on YouTube. It's Aldwyn Altuney Media Queen TV on YouTube. Look for the big hair, okay, and you'll find the big hair and the big smile. Look for that one, and check out some of the other amazing interviews that we have, including with Barry Crocker and some other extraordinary people. We've got over 1,000 interviews there now,
and that also includes an interview with David Icke. Believe it or not, she's actually interviewed David Icke. Interesting.
Yes, I did. That was a great interview back in 2016. And a lot of what he was sharing back then, well before this pandemic, is still as true and as relevant today. And it's interesting, 20 years ago when David Icke started doing what he was doing, people were mocking him, people were saying you're crazy. And now he's got literally millions of followers around the world because a lot of what he has said has come true. Mm-hmm. Now, question everything, my friends. And if you haven't seen the Thrive documentaries, then go to the Conscious Community Global Facebook group, which you'll find in my link tree as well. And in there, you'll see a whole lot of amazing, mind-blowing documentaries that will absolutely wake you up to what's going on in the world and empower you to make some more informed choices for yourself moving forward. We are about empowering you, encouraging you to question everything here with the Total Truth Show. Our 53rd episode. It's been absolutely brilliant. And my favorite quote, which I will leave you with today, is be the change you wish to see in the world. As Gandhi says, be the change you wish to see in the world. So if you're sick of the negative news, then get some more good news out there. Join the Global Good News Challenge, which we have every month, absolutely free. Get into gratitude and good news and see your life change. Watch how the people around you, their lives change. Thank you so much. Everyone who's joined us here on Facebook, on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or X, and Twitter's now X, of course. And you have the X factor. Whether you're on X or not on X, you have the X factor within you. You have your own X factor. We've been on Instagram today. We are everywhere out there. So please connect. Let us know what you thought. Let us know where you're joining us from. I can see Bradley's from Sydney, Australia, my old hometown. I grew up in Sydney, and I'll be there in a few weeks, actually, Bradley. So wonderful. Thanks for joining us. What is something that gives you joy? Let us know in the comments. What's something also that you have got out of this show today? What's something that you've got from this? Any final words before we end the live stream here? Karen and Ken, it's been an absolute pleasure with both of you today. Final words.
Go and practice being creative. Remember your childhood joy and rediscover it. Never too late. You're never too old, and everyone is creative.
Beautiful.
My last words are basically this. So yeah, we're midway into January now, but that still doesn't mean you can't set your intentions for this year. So notice I did not say goals. No, intentions. Very, very important and big difference. So I'm just going to quickly share with you my 3 intentions for this year. We did this exercise with Anna a couple of days ago. So my intentions are 1, flow. 2, relax, and 3, love.
Ah, that's so beautiful. And my last words are and and yeah.
Yay!
It's been an awesome episode. Thank you, Becky.
Clap for
Thank
you too.
Lots of love to you all.
God bless
Mwah.
you.
Thank you. God bless you. Here's to an extraordinary day or night, wherever you are in the world. We'll see you again back here on Total Truth Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.